Welcome into sportsbookreview.com. This is the college football show. I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And we have got a ton of news. It feels like every single day there is a year's worth of news that comes out, and we're going to try and get to as much of it as humanly possible. Today, obviously, only a 30-minute show, but make sure you go back, check all of the other shows that we do, all of our previews, etc., that go through and give you our ideas of what the upcoming season is going to look like. You can find all of that over at sbrpicks.com/NCAAF. You can find all sorts of content over there. Make sure that you stay over there all season long. We're going to keep you up to date on what's happening. You can also subscribe to this YouTube channel. This is the Sportsbook Review YouTube channel, SBR Picks. And give the video a thumbs up. Give it a like, all that kind of stuff. Share the show out. Tell your friends about it. You can also follow us on social media. We're on Twitter. Obviously, it'll be on your screen, or it is in the description of this YouTube video. So go check those links out. Do yourself a favor, sbrpicks.com/NCAAF. And let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and dive into the news of the day. The first big topic is the Nebraska football players that are suing the Big Ten for the right to play this season. Now, Chris, I don't believe that anything is going to come of this other than we have seen in the past the discovery process can pull out some pretty interesting tidbits of information, right? The Ole Miss incident from just a few years ago, the Houston Nutt lawsuit against the school ended up getting Hugh Freeze fired. If we find out a few things in this discovery, I would not be surprised. If you've got an administrator that comes out and says, hey, they're starting this hashtag We Are United campaign, we need to shut this down, let's come up with some kind of excuse so that we can get rid of the season this year. Something like that can be incredibly damaging for these schools, for the NCAA, for college football, period. What are your thoughts here? And I'll dive into a little bit of the topics that they're wanting to sue over.
Well, go ahead and talk about what they're wanting to sue over.
Well, they're not seeking monetary damages, right? So they've got three main points. One is wrongful interference with business expectations. So basically, kids that are trying to build their way into a professional football career, right? That's one of them. The other one is breach of contract. So they are saying that if there was no vote, if there was no real reason to cancel, you are selling us to come to these schools to play football, and yet you're not allowing us to play football. And then the third one was declaratory judgment definition of governing documents. So, yeah, the whole thing seems a little weird. Basically, they want the right to play. That's it. That's all they're looking for. They will not accept any monetary damages over $75,000. Now, this is only 8 Nebraska players, but I'm kind of curious if all of the other schools had players that also filed lawsuits in their state. I would imagine that these things are going to be thrown out, but I don't know that they're going to be thrown out before people start digging into what actually went into these meetings. They want all of the transcripts from the meetings. They want all of those things. They want the information on why the season was actually canceled. And there's no telling what they're going to find with this.
Yeah. So basically that's what I want to talk about. I think the majority of what they're looking for, because I don't think there's any answer that's going to come out to say, yes, we're going to be able to play. Okay. Outside of a spring season, we know from history that the Freedom of Information Act stuff, they're going to take their sweet time getting that information out. It's going to be at least another month before these guys have access to any of that information. But that's really what I think they want. I think they want to basically open it up and expose what happened in these meetings. How did this go down? So they can individually, each individual state, each individual school can hold whatever administrator that is responsible for their school accountable. I think that's fair, by the way. I think that's 100% fair. These are state-funded institutions, okay, except for Northwestern. They're all state colleges, and therefore all of their meetings need to have minutes that are available to the public, and they should have access to what went on in these meetings. And then the people that are decision makers around these universities and around the state, who are taxpayers, who subsidize these schools, have the right to hold these individuals accountable.
Yes.
But you hold them accountable if you don't know what happened. And so I think that's the end result here. So, is a lot of this going to get thrown out? Probably, but I don't know that there's any way they can throw out holding the information and just not being able to give that. That has to be a freedom of information documents that have to be disclosed, I would think.
Yeah, it has to be public knowledge. Now, the one caveat here, Tom Mars obviously has already filed Freedom of Information Act requests with the 13 state schools in the Big Ten. However, if these meeting minutes were not emailed to these university email addresses, then they would have no way to be able to get these documents, right? Through that method, right? Through the FOIA method.
Well, but here's but that leads to another question. If you don't have them, then we, as your if that happened in the state of Mississippi at a school that I attended, okay, and I might be a donor of or a booster of or whatever, then if you give me no minutes and you say you didn't follow proper protocol and I can't see this, then I'm going to take that as everything that happened in that place is negative, and I want everybody involved that I have control over to be removed from their position.
Agree. Okay? And that may end up happening.
And I think that's going to happen. Here's the thing. Yes, the NCAA investigation that happened at Ole Miss ended up uncovering some unsavory things about Hugh Freeze. And I don't think that's going to happen in this, okay? Because I don't think anything was said that is super negative. These guys are actually trying to do what they honestly believe is right. And some of their information might be faulty. Some of their thinking, there's a lot of people that disagree with them, but I don't know that they're actually doing something nefarious. Hugh Freeze got caught up in something with the NCAA investigation and recruiting. We know that recruiting is dirty business.
Agree.
Okay?
Agree.
And therefore it's easy to find dirt when you're digging in a dirty business. I don't think this is dirty business. I just think this is bad business. I think we need to be open and honest about what happened behind these meetings, because all of these guys work for public institutions.
Agreed. Now, I'm not saying that we think that will happen, but I was using the Ole Miss the Ole Miss example as an example of where something can go wrong in the discovery process. If you are not forthcoming with your information, somebody's going to dig and somebody's going to find something that you don't really want them to. So that's the biggest issue here, right? Let's move off of this one. Let's move to the postponed games over the next 2 weeks. So we have been very excited. September 5th is the first, big weekend, the first big Saturday, and there's not a ton of games, but we have had 2 games that have been postponed, and that's kind of an issue, right? You've got September 5th, Louisiana Monroe and Troy. That has been postponed, and I don't believe they have a date on that one yet. No, that one's been moved to December 5th. All right, so that's all the way at the end of the calendar. The next one, we've got 2 on September 12th that have been postponed. NC State and Virginia Tech has been postponed to September 26th. That is one of the ACC's open dates. And they kind of thought, okay, going into this, we might need to schedule some of these open dates for these first 2 games to make sure that we can continue on with the schedule. And this is where it worked out perfectly. NC State has been dealing with an outbreak on campus, an outbreak in the football program, etc. So they are moving that one back 2 weeks. They're going to let NC State figure out, what's going on, and then they'll move from there. And then finally, we have Marshall at East Carolina. Now, this is the anniversary of the plane crash from, what year was it? It was the 50th anniversary, so 1970. And those were the 2 teams that played and whatnot. They're playing at ECU, and they are pushing that one back. I don't believe they have a date for that yet. It's going to be probably November or December that they get that one done. So,
pushing that one back because of the outbreak.
Because of an outbreak at East Carolina, I believe.
Okay.
So that's the plan right now.
I'm assuming the Louisiana Monroe game is being pushed back because of the hurricane, right?
No, ULM, because that one's actually being played at Troy. ULM has had a bit of an outbreak. They had 9 players test positive. So they all of these have to do with COVID.
Okay. So, all right. I was kind of under the impression that the Southern schools these are the only two. It was due to the hurricane, so that's a little shocking. So,
well, I mean, you bring up another interesting news topic. McNeese State, that is the only school that was in the path of the hurricane that suffered any kind of real campus damage, as far as actual FCS or FBS schools are concerned, football programs. So McNeese State Stadium took a little bit of a hit, but
well, when Katrina happened, and not to go off on this tangent, when Katrina happened, Katrina was a little bit different monster because it squarely hit New Orleans, major epicenter of our country, and the levees all busted because of it. It shut down schools around it that didn't get hit so bad because so many people, they just couldn't play a game because so many people were flocking to the schools basically to seek refuge. They were, hey, we've got a bunch of student housing, send students home for a little bit, shut down school, and let you guys stay in these places that the state already owns anyway.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty easy fix. I was curious to see, based on, I guess, the amount of people that did not leave and end up getting stranded and abandoned and evacuated out last minute over this week, what does that do to the surrounding areas? But if it avoids any major city, then we can be okay with that.
Yeah, I think the only main one
that that bad.
Yeah, the only main one that got a major hit was good gracious, Lake Charles.
Lake Charles,
it's not a major
Lake Charles, not near the population of New Orleans.
Agreed.
It's just not.
It did end up hitting Ruston, where Louisiana Tech is located, and it hit, I believe, Monroe a little bit.
I thought Monroe. That's why I was thinking of that, but yeah.
But it wasn't all. I believe most of it was tropical storm winds. Nothing crazy, just a lot of rain, and it's still damaging stuff, but not to the level that a Category 4 hurricane smashing into you would be. So not quite the same. Let's see. Let's go through. Hey, let's talk about this really quick before I pull up the first week TV schedule, and that is Oklahoma and LSU. So we've talked about the COVID cases and whatnot. Oklahoma and LSU both have had entire position groups completely wiped out by positive tests. Right?
No, hey, that's just not true. It's not true. LSU's tests were not positive. These were all people that are contract tracing. So far, none of the LSU offensive linemen have actually tested positive. They just are being isolated because they were exposed to someone who has tested positive. So this is why we've got to be careful of our numbers. These people aren't positive. They were just exposed to somebody who was positive.
Yes, and per the SEC and NCAA contact tracing protocols, they can't field offensive linemen right now. There are 4 offensive linemen for LSU.
Yep.
And Oklahoma has not released the position group that is having problems.
We're pretty sure it's offensive line, though, right?
We think so,
because he explicitly said this is a group of individuals, men that have to work together.
We have to have them on the field for every offense.
Yeah, at the same time. And so I'm like, well, that makes sense. We all know who that. Just say it. Like, why are these guys being cagey with it? Why are you being cheeky about it? It didn't make any sense.
No, I'm with you. It doesn't make really any sense at all to me, but
you've got like 19 offensive linemen on your roster. Okay. You get a lot of them for all the scholarships and stuff. There's a bunch of them. All right. You got like 4 or 5 out. You don't have to give their names. Just say just tell us the position group. We're good with that.
There you go. So those two have got that going on. Yeah. Texas Tech earlier this week had 21 positives. And
all that's the worst football team we've had.
Yes.
Since people came back to school, right?
Yes, certainly. Now here's the thing. They are continuing on with practice. And I don't know, did you see Dan Wolken's tweet? Did you see him talk about this?
Oh, I need to know what you're referring to. About Texas Tech?
About Texas Tech.
No, I don't specifically.
He came out. He said that he doesn't even know
I don't know if we lost Gary or we lost me. But I'd like to clarify something. It doesn't matter what Dan Wolken tweeted about. I don't know it because Dan Wolken has me blocked on Twitter. I don't even remember saying anything nasty to him ever. So there we go. It looks like we lost Gary. I have no earthly idea, to be honest. So I'm going to keep going forward. I know that we wanted to talk about the Central Arkansas game, and they're going to start off the season. That's supposed to be the first game of the season next week. It's Central Arkansas against Austin Peay. You got Central Arkansas. You can find them at -4, -5, depending on what book you go. Go to SBR. You'll be able to find your best odds there. If you want to, take Austin Peay, you'll want the bigger number. You want to take Central Arkansas, you'll want the smaller number. Shop it around. I don't know how detailed Gary wanted to get into this preview. I know that I have my pick about it. I think defenses are going to struggle when we first start football back. So I think there'll be a little bit more scoring. I could be completely wrong on that. So I would take the over. Over, you can find anywhere between 42.5, 43.5. And I like Central Arkansas. Full disclosure, Gary and I are located in the Memphis surrounding area. We're pretty close to Central Arkansas, not too far away. And so I've got a few contacts there. So I'm a little biased, and I'll just be honest about that. And the other thing we want to talk about was UCLA offensive tackle Jake Burton is transferring to Baylor. And this is a pretty late transfer. He's trying to get cleared to play this season. I don't know any way on earth he could possibly be able to get cleared this season to play. That would shock me, the way the NCAA has been a little bit suspect on who they're going to allow play and who they're not. But anyway, neither here nor there. This kid's transferring. He's leaving the Pac-12. We thought we were going to see an exodus of players from the Pac-12 and the Big Ten coming to the SEC, coming to the Big 12, coming to the ACC, and even some of these smaller conferences, the G5 schools that are getting to play because they want playing time. They don't want to waste a year. This is the first that I know of, and we'll see if he gets cleared. Baylor sure could use him. I know that. So anyway, that's, basically the show today. We appreciate you guys jumping in. Thank you so much. We are catching a lot of storm here in the Memphis area from the hurricanes. We're not getting any major damage. We're getting a lot of rain. We're getting a lot of wind, and I am certain Gary's internet has probably just went completely out. But with that being said, my name is Christopher Giannini. We are with SBR. Go to sbrpicks.com. You just search anything out you need. We appreciate you. Holy cow.
Right there.
You back?
Yeah, I'm here. I don't know what's going
You're
on.
a little bit in, a little bit out. Look, I went through a rundown of Central Arkansas, Austin Peay. Lost you again. I'm just going to get out of here. We have completely had a debacle. Thank you so much for joining us. If you joined us live, leave the comments. Appreciate it. Like, share out the video. We appreciate the support. We're looking forward to doing this all season long, and we'll see you later.